It started as one of those nights where you scroll aimlessly through Reddit, drifting from one random thread to another, looking for something interesting to read before bed. I wasn't expecting to stumble onto a rabbit hole that would still haunt me years later. It began in a small subreddit called r/Ask Reddit, buried in a post titled, "What's the weirdest website you've ever found?" One of the top comments simply said, "LakecityQuietPills.com, don't go there." The username was deleted. No context, no explanation. Just that cryptic warning. Naturally, I ignored it and clicked. When the page loaded, my browser froze for a moment. The screen was plain white, with a gray banner at the top that said, "Dispensing Lake City Quiet Pills to lousy bastards in need of permanent rest." That was it. No links, no buttons, just that sentence. It felt like a joke, some edgy, dark web parody. But when I checked the source code, I noticed something odd. There were lines of hidden text buried in HTML comments, strings of random letters, numbers, and dots. At first, they looked like gibberish, but one Redditor in the comments figured out it wasn't random. It was encoded. Someone realized it was a cipher, a code used by military communication systems, and when a few users started to decode it, what they found didn't sound like a game. The decoded lines looked like job postings, but they weren't for normal jobs. They said things like, "Need 2 men, fluent Arabic, no kids, 8-week contract, P.O. Box 112. Immediate opening, hostile environment, discretion required." At first, people joked that it was a dark web hitman board, but then someone found a connection to a Reddit user named Religion of Peace. That username had been around since 2007. He was active in r/Pics, posting military memes, crude jokes, and comments that made him sound like an old war veteran. One post said, "I'm 79 years old. I met a lot of good men, buried too many of them. I miss them every day." A few months later, that account went silent, and not long after that, LakecityQuietPills.com appeared online. The phrase, Lake City Quiet Pills itself? Redditors discovered its military slang for bullets, specifically ammo made in the Lake City Army ammunition plant. So, dispensing quiet pills basically meant killing people. Digging deeper, Redditors traced Religion of Peace to another online alias, a man known as Milo. According to archived comments, a Redditor once said, "Milo, you old bastard, you'll outlive us all." To which another replied, "He won't. He passed last week. Funeral was small, as he wanted." That was the same week the website first appeared. It was as if, after Milo's death, someone uploaded this site, in his memory. People began to think that Milo wasn't just an old veteran. He might have been running a network of mercenaries or contract killers, and Lake City Quiet Pills was their coded message board. Months after Milo's death, new encoded messages started appearing in the website's source code. They were longer and more organized. One message read, "Happy New Year, everyone. We're still on for the party in Europe. 200K for each. 3 months. No mistakes." Nobody thought much of it, until a few months later, news broke of a high-profile assassination in Dubai. A Hamas official named Mahmoud al-Mabhouh was found dead in his hotel room. The killers used forged passports and a professional operation involving over 20 people. And the date? It matched exactly with the encoded post on Lake City Quiet Pills. Coincidence or not, Reddit lit up with theories. People started connecting dates, decoding new posts, and linking them to strange events worldwide. Some even claimed to trace IP logs suggesting the site was hosted on an old military contractors network. Then, suddenly, it all vanished. By late 2011, LakecityQuietPills.com went offline. No more posts, no more codes, no trace left behind. Some users who had been investigating reported weird things, deleted threads, accounts locked, DMs from unknown profiles warning them to stop digging. A few even claimed their browsers were hacked or redirected after visiting the page, and then, like it never existed, everything was gone. A Reddit user named Caligula kept screenshots, code archives, and chat logs from the investigation. He revealed that behind the site, there were hundreds of coded messages, not just a few. Some of them described shipments, personnel assignments, and payment logs that lined up with real-world events. One even listed coordinates that led to an empty airfield in Pennsylvania, an old decommissioned military base. It's still unclear if Milo was real or if he was part of something bigger. But the details, the precise timing, the military tone, the coded communication, were too specific to dismiss. Experts later confirmed that the cipher style used on the site was authentic military format, meaning whoever ran it knew exactly what they were doing. What creeped me out the most wasn't the mystery itself, it was what happened to me after. Months after reading about it, I decided to check the Wayback Machine, an online archive that saves old websites. When I typed lakecityquietpills.com into it, I saw that someone had updated the archive recently. The last snapshot was new, just a few weeks ago. It didn't show any new page. But in the source code, hidden at the bottom, there was a single new comment. It said, "Milo was right. They never stop watching." And right below that was an email address. It looked random, but when I searched it, it linked to a new domain registered just months ago, quietpillsreloaded.com. I didn't dare click it. Most people believe the Lake City Quiet Pills mystery was just an elaborate ARG, a game created by some bored internet users. But military analysts who saw the code said otherwise. They were too precise. To this day, no one has ever confirmed who Milo really was or who ran that website. But what I can tell you is this. Every time I check the Wayback archive, the page count keeps increasing. Someone is still updating it, quietly, patiently, like they're waiting for the next message. And maybe, when that day comes, Reddit will decode it again. But I won't be around to see it. I've already seen enough. It started on a quiet night in October. I was scrolling through Reddit's Unresolved Mysteries, one of those threads where users share weird cases that never made the news. But this one wasn't about missing people or serial killers. It was about a sound. The post was titled, "Anyone else hearing the 94 Hz hum in the Midwest?" At first glance, it sounded like another conspiracy post. People complaining about low-frequency noises, government experiments, or tinnitus. But as I scrolled through the comments, something about it felt different. Hundreds of users were reporting the same thing, a deep humming sound that came from nowhere. Not a ringing in the ears, an external vibration, low and constant, heard mostly at night. What made it worse was that everyone described it the same way. It's exactly 94 Hz. You can feel it more than hear it. That specific number stuck in my head. A Reddit user named Signal Archive began collecting audio samples from people across the US, Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, even parts of Canada. When he uploaded a map of the recordings, there was a pattern. The hum wasn't random. It was forming a line stretching northeast to southwest, almost perfectly along a straight path. People started to call it the 94 Hz corridor. At first, everyone blamed industrial noise, power substations, or natural seismic frequencies. But Signal Archive proved something impossible. The hum moved. Every week it shifted location slightly, almost like it was traveling underground. He began tracking it through a custom spectrogram script and posting updates on Reddit. Then, one day, his account went silent. For almost a month, nobody heard from him. His GitHub was deleted. His SoundCloud, gone. Even the Wayback Machine showed no snapshots of his posts, as if they'd been wiped clean. People assumed he got tired of the project, until a new Reddit account appeared. It had a username similar to his, but slightly off, Signal Archivist, instead of Signal Archive. The first post read, "It's not a hum. Stop recording it. You're feeding it." That comment got deleted within minutes, but not before people screenshotted it. A few users, including me, decided to test it. We built a small app that could detect frequencies in live sound. Sure enough, around 2:30 a.m., a faint signal appeared. Exactly 94 hertz, not 93, not 95. When I increased the volume, the waveform had something unnatural about it. It pulsed in regular intervals, like Morse code. Every 30 seconds, there was a slight modulation. I recorded an hour of it and ran it through an audio analyzer. The result nearly made me drop my headphones. The pulses formed a repeating binary pattern. When translated, it spelled, "Hello." Once the Reddit community saw the data, people went crazy. Some thought it was an underground communications test. Others believed it was sonar leakage, or even a coded distress signal. But then something new happened. The hum started replying. When one user played back a reversed version of the sound, as a test, his recorder picked up a different response frequency a few minutes later. Not random noise. It was answering back at a slightly higher pitch, 97 hertz. He posted the file online, and that's when people began noticing another terrifying detail. If you visualize the waveform as a spectrogram, a kind of picture made from sound frequencies, there were shapes forming inside the data. Not letters, not words, faces, distorted outlines of human faces. Reddit threads exploded. Dozens of amateur scientists, engineers, and ham radio operators joined in to decode it. Then, suddenly, within 48 hours, everything started disappearing. Posts deleted, accounts suspended. One moderator from our Unresolved Mysteries said they received a legal notice demanding all 94 Hz related threads be removed for national security reasons. No one knew who sent it. But those who saved screenshots found that some of the messages in the code contained GPS coordinates, locations mostly centered around decommissioned Cold War bunkers in the Midwest. By this point, I was obsessed. I couldn't sleep without hearing that low hum in my head. One night I connected my receiver again. There it was, 94 hertz, faint but steady. But then it changed. The signal spiked, climbing to 120 hertz, and the modulation went faster. When I recorded it and converted the data again, it wasn't hello anymore. It said, stop listening. I froze. Before I could process it, the lights in my room flickered, and my speaker emitted a brief burst of white noise, followed by a whisper. Just a few syllables, too quick to make out, but I swear it sounded like my name. I shut everything off. The sub went private a few hours later. But through archived links, I found a hidden thread by a user named U-Hum-Witness, supposedly a friend of Signal Archive. He claimed that the 94 hertz signal wasn't a hum at all. It was a resonance beacon, a low-frequency test designed decades ago during underground missile experiments. The government abandoned it after an accident in 1984 when the system connected to something beneath the crust, something that responded. And now, somehow, it was active again. A few nights later, curiosity won. I turned my receiver back on, tuned it carefully, and hit record. At first it was the same, a steady vibration, faint hum, 94 hertz dead on. Then came the modulation, this time slower. When I decoded it, my stomach dropped. The message was different. It wasn't binary this time. It was text, embedded as audio watermarking. It said, 94 hertz corridor reopened, entry approved for 14 participants, sequence begins 10:14. That date was today. As I stared at the screen, the hum started again, louder this time, shaking the walls. Every device in my room flickered, monitor, phone, lights. The frequency climbed slowly, painfully, until it became a roar that pressed against my chest. Then, silence. When I woke up, it was morning. My computer was off. All the files I'd recorded, gone. The receiver, dead. But when I checked my Reddit account later, I noticed something chilling. A private message sent 6 hours ago. No username, no subject line, just the message. Participant 15. In the weeks since, I haven't heard the 94 hertz hum again. But new Reddit accounts keep posting small updates, Coordinates, timestamps, random strings of numbers that, when decoded, always include the number 94. Some believe it's a new ARG. Others say it's just a coincidence. But here's what keeps me awake at night. When the hum stopped, I recorded total silence for the first time. And when I ran that silence through my analyzer, there was still something there. A faint, nearly inaudible pulse. Exactly 94 hertz, like a heartbeat, waiting for someone else to listen. I've been using Reddit for over a decade, long enough to see weird communities come and go, from cursed RGs to cryptic puzzles no one could solve. But what happened last year was different. It wasn't a story. It wasn't a joke. It was something that shouldn't have been possible. It began with a subreddit called r/missing411 files, a place dedicated to strange disappearances, mostly outdoors, hikers, campers, people who vanished in national parks. I'd been following it for months. Most posts were just links, theories, or re-uploads of old cold cases. But one night someone posted something that made my skin crawl. It was titled, "Found a Hidden Subreddit. Seems connected to the disappearances." The post contained a link to a private community called r/th3 echo files. The name alone was weird, spelled with a 3 instead of an E. The user claimed it wasn't visible on Reddit's public index, but could be accessed through a direct URL. At first, everyone assumed it was bait, but when I clicked the link, it worked. The page loaded slowly, all black background, no icons or flares, just plain white text. There were exactly 7 posts, no usernames. Each post had a single image and a timestamp. The first post was titled, File 01, Cascade Range. It showed a blurry night vision photo of what looked like a forest clearing. In the distance, a faint figure, humanoid but slightly bent, standing among the trees. The caption simply said, "Entry confirmed, 11:47 p.m." The next few posts followed the same pattern, different forests, lakes, mountains, each with photos and timestamps. But what terrified me most were the coordinates embedded in the image data. They matched the locations of real missing persons cases, ones discussed months earlier on r/missing411 files. Some Redditors started tracking upload times. They noticed that each post appeared exactly 72 hours apart, down to the minute. Every file name followed the same format. File, row 1 through file, row 7. The last one, file row 7, had been posted just 20 minutes before I joined. It was titled, Extraction Complete. When I opened it, my screen froze. The image was corrupted, just a wall of static and distortion. But buried in the static, you could barely make out a shape. It looked like a person, or something like one, crouching beside a tent. And in the top left corner, faintly visible, was a username, Signal Archive. That name shouldn't have existed anymore. It was the same one from the 94 Hertz mystery, the guy who vanished after tracking the sound. Within hours, thousands of users joined the subreddit. People posted screenshots, theories, even reverse searched the photos to find matches with missing hiker reports. Then, suddenly, all the posts disappeared. One by one, the images vanished until the entire subreddit went blank, except for a new sticky post from the mods. It read, "Do not look for files 08. This project is closed." And then the subreddit went private. Everyone thought it was an ARG, an alternate reality game, until something strange started happening. That's a label Reddit only uses for deleted databases. One moderator from R Creepy Encounters posted a warning thread. If you visited rth3 echo files before it went private, clear your cache. Something's not right. People who ignored the warning began reporting strange things. Posts they never made showing up in their history, accounts being logged in from unknown devices, and automatic comments under their usernames with random numbers. I checked mine. There it was. A comment I never posted, under a completely unrelated thread. It said, "File 08 uploading soon." 3 days later, Right on schedule, the counter hit 0. That night, a new subreddit appeared, r/echo recovered. It was public for only 12 minutes. One post, no title. The image attached was a photo of a dimly lit storage unit, walls lined with shelves full of VHS tapes. Every tape had a label, File 01 through File 08. Someone enhanced the photo and noticed writing scrawled on the back wall. It said, "We didn't lose them, we stored them." Then the subreddit vanished, not deleted, not private, completely erased. Reddit itself later claimed the URL had never existed. Months passed. People moved on, until a user named Outpost Researcher started investigating again. They found that the coordinates from Files 107 all pointed to abandoned ranger stations, but File 08, the one that was never posted, led to something else. A small town in Wyoming, population 68. The town's real name was Echo Valley. When researchers visited, they found that the town's last census was from 1985. The area was officially listed as uninhabited, yet satellite images showed buildings, lights, and moving shadows at night. There was no road leading in, no service maps listed it, and somehow every local file about the place, government, state, or otherwise, had been wiped from public archives. What I saw, I couldn't resist. I had to see it myself. I drove through Wyoming in late August, following old map trails until my GPS started glitching. Eventually, my phone showed no service, but the signal bars flickered, as if trying to connect to something nearby. After 2 more miles, I saw it. A cluster of buildings surrounded by pine trees. No people in sight, but faint lights flickering inside a warehouse. I parked, grabbed my flashlight, and stepped closer. On one of the metal doors, half rusted away, I saw a faded logo, a white E inside a circle. And below it, someone had carved a single word into the metal: upload. The door wasn't locked. Inside, the air was thick with dust. Rows of shelves stretched across the room, filled with old monitors, hard drives, and film reels. In the corner, a small terminal was still running, showing a black screen with green text. It said, "Files 09 ready." Then it beeped once, and a new line appeared. "Hello, Fahim." I swear I hadn't entered my name anywhere. The monitor began displaying static, flickering between symbols, coordinates, timestamps, and faces. Dozens of faces. Each one looked distorted but familiar. Then I recognized one. It was Signal Archive, and another, Outpost Researcher. The screen glitched again, and new text appeared. All files restored. Echo lives. I ran. When I got back to my car, the radio turned on by itself. No station, just white noise. But hidden beneath the static, you could hear a deep rhythmic pulse, around 94 hertz. I haven't gone back since. And when I tried to revisit the subreddit later that night, it redirected to a blank page that said, Participant 16. Every few weeks, a new ghost subreddit appears. R, Echo 16, R, Signal Return, R, Lake City Files, all of them linked together, all disappearing after exactly 12 minutes. No one knows who's running them. Some think it's a government experiment. Others say it's just the internet feeding back on itself. But I know one thing. It's spreading. And somewhere out there, the files are still uploading. Because every night just before I fall asleep, I can hear it again, faint, low, and steady. The sound of the upload beginning.